What up, cucks? It's your boy the Hater once again. Now, let's talk about something else that's happening in the wrestling world, right? This weird thing that we keep seeing with mediocrity being pushed as main event, right? Or being consistently given opportunity after opportunity and dropping the ball. I will use one wrestler as an example. And ironically, this is a wrestler that I actually like. But I have to recognize that just because I like him doesn't mean he's good. Sometimes, cucks, we like things that suck. That's the beauty of the world. For example, a lot of fans like Gunther, and Gunther sucks. You see what I'm getting at? A lot of fans like Cucky Rhodes, and he also sucks. People even like Sami Zayn, who I can make an argument is the worst thing to happen to WWE ever. This guy just looks like he puts no effort into anything he does. He looks like shit, right? He doesn't work out, and he has boring matches, and his finisher is a big boot in the corner. Something that Kane would do for free. Something that is like part of one move that Undertaker does. Like Undertaker would do the big boot, and then the snake eyes, and then the leg drop. But 1/3 of that irrelevant Undertaker sequence is Sami Zayn's finisher. And Sami Zayn is like 1/2 the size of the Undertaker. So a big boot for Sami Zayn is not the same thing as a big boot from the big dog. Now, with that being said, let's get to this analysis real quick. The question that needs to be answered is this. Why does Baron Corbin consistently get opportunity after opportunity after opportunity? Now, people may think, Hater, what opportunity did he ever get? He hasn't been champion in 6 years or whatever, right? Well, cucks, a lot of people haven't been champion in 6 years. And that's part of the problem. The problem is that when I was watching NXT, and him and Braun Breaker, who's obviously the star of that team and the star of that entire segment, right? Like, I would say Baron Corbin is less talented and less interesting than definitely Braun Breaker and definitely than Channing Stacks Lorenzo, and even Tony D'Angelo, whose gimmick is basically he's another Rick Boogs. Like, he's not going to do anything. He's just going to be there. He's going to be like a bumbling idiot sooner rather than later, right? Because it's not a serious gimmick. So all those guys are better than Baron Corbin. But the center of the match was still Baron Corbin. The announcers kept talking about, oh, Baron Corbin hasn't been champion in 6 years. You know who else hasn't been champion in 6 years? Chad Gable, Otis, Humberto Carrillo, fucking Angel Garza, JD McDonough, Dominic Mysterio hasn't been champion in several years, right? Rey Mysterio hasn't been champion in like a year now, and he should be because he's better than everybody like on the roster basically, right? Marcel Bartel has never been champion in WWE, that is, right? There's a million wrestlers that haven't been champion. And the fact that the announcers just say, like, he hasn't been champion in 6 years, like it's to be expected that someone like Baron Corbin should be champion. No, it should be difficult to become champion. People like Baron Corbin shouldn't be champions. Baron Corbin has had a million opportunities. Now, of course, he hasn't won titles, but let me tell you what he's done. Number one, they gave him the win in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Now, turns out that this was a complete waste of time, but back then, we thought that meant something, right? Because the first year, Cesaro won it, and everyone thought Cesaro was going to get a huge push. And people would say, oh, look what he did for the career of Cesaro. It did nothing for the career of Cesaro. But anyways, I digress. Then he won it, and they're like, oh my God, it's going to do something. Then he wins Money in the Bank, right? Which is a huge deal, but he can't leverage it because he's not charismatic at all. Like, Baron Corbin has no charisma. You know, he's a legit dude. Like, he's like a real tough guy, but he has zero personality and charisma. The tattoos aren't going to get it done, cuck. So with that being said, he wins that, and that leads to nothing. So that's two things that have led to nothing. He then retires Kurt Angle, and somehow that also leads to nothing, right? Now, after that, Baron Corbin gets several gimmicks. Most wrestlers are lucky to get one gimmick, and that one gimmick, they try their best to make it get over, right? Look at Chad Gable. It's a great example. Chad Gable's gimmick is he has the Alpha Academy, a jobber tag team. But because him and Otis continue to try to make themselves funny, it has gotten somewhere, right? They have catchphrases, they have shirts, they got Tozawa now, and they got Maxine Dupree, who's probably the best looking wrestler that WWE has. Now, with all that being said, compare that to Baron Corbin and his 19 gimmicks. Okay, first of all, we have the Lone Wolf gimmick, which is stupid. Well, before that even, we have the the unstoppable like squashing machine gimmick, right? Where he's beating people in like 3 seconds. That was cool, right? Because we don't see that as often. That led to nowhere because all of a sudden he had to wrestle Rhino and actually have a real match because Rhino wasn't like a jobber like the other people that he was destroying, right? There's that. Then he has the Lone Wolf gimmick, which isn't a gimmick. That's just a moniker, right? It's a pseudonym. Oh, he's a lone wolf. He's the flying bird, is he? Oh, fuck you. Oh, the artist Nakamura. What the fuck are you talking about? The architect Seth Rollins. Get the fuck out of here, right? So he gets that shitty little run as the lone wolf. That obviously leads to nothing because it's a horrible idea. Then he becomes the leader of a 3-man team with Drew McIntyre and Lashley, and both of those guys surpass him quickly, right? Then after that, he becomes Constable Baron Corbin. Remember Constable Corbin, cucks? He becomes Constable Corbin. Then after that, he becomes King Corbin. Like, how many fucking things is this asshole gonna win that is gonna lead to nothing, right? I think he must have won King of the Ring, right, to become King Corbin. So he was King of the Ring too. King Corbin leads to nothing, right? Then, as Constable Corbin, he beats Kurt Angle. That's not a gimmick, but it's a run, and he got nothing out of it. Then he becomes down on his luck loser Baron Corbin, which fits him well, right? Then he goes on a losing streak. Then he becomes I hit the jackpot in Las Vegas Baron Corbin. What are we on now? Like the 6th gimmick, right? Then after that, he becomes the protege of JBL. He ditches the whole like rich guy thing, right? And they kind of pivot from the rich guy thing to like the, he's so similar to JBL, even though he is absolutely nothing like JBL because number one, JBL just looks more badass. And number two, JBL is extremely charismatic and Baron Corbin ain't, right? So he gets that. Then, after that, as if that wasn't enough, JBL turns his back on him because he sees this is going nowhere. So Baron Corbin goes back to NXT to be a jobber. And over there, he has a new gimmick. Burn the ships. Now, for the first time in his career, Baron Corbin is serious. And he's going to leave behind everything. He's going to burn the ships because none of those gimmicks were him. So then after that didn't work out, obviously, because that's a stupid-ass idea. He gets another gimmick. Now he's one half of the Wolf Dogs. He comes out wearing a wolf hat. So despite the 9 or 10 different opportunities this asshole has gotten, right? He has been able to leverage nothing out of them. There are people who have spent dozens of hours, I don't know how, but they have spent dozens of hours coming up with ideas for Corbin, only for these ideas to never work. Now, this is someone that, let's say Corbin gets fired and turns out he's a really good in-ring guy in a few years and he becomes an AEW like superstar and everything. People will say they've dropped the ball on Corbin, but they haven't. He's dropped the ball. They've given him the ball 100 times. What more could you want? You have to get yourself over. You can't get over because you're boring. It's as simple as that. And now we have to tolerate Baron Corbin again. And you know he's not staying in NXT. You know he's going to find his way to SmackDown or Raw somehow and do another reintroduction, another re-debut with probably another gimmick. That is also not going to work out. So take that same energy and apply it to, I don't know, AJ Styles. Give him a gimmick and you'll see that he'll get it over. Hell, give a gimmick to Dolph Ziggler. Just do it. Not anymore because he's not there anymore, right? Kevin Owens. Some of the guys that have some personality at least. They don't have much charisma, but they have some personality. And instead, they waste their gimmicks on Baron Corbin. Like, how many fucking iterations of this asshole do we need to see? Like, Mankind, who's one of the greats, Mankind, and Mick Foley, I guess, had 3 personalities, and 4 if you include Mick Foley, which I personally think is a distinct personality, right? You had Mankind, like I'm talking about the real Mankind, the original one, that was like, evil and deranged. Then you have Cactus Jack, who is just violent and vicious. And you have Dude Love, who's like a fun-loving hippie. Then you have Mick Foley, who's like basically like this mark for himself almost, right? Like, that's Mick Foley. He has 4, and all 4 he was able to get over. But Baron Corbin can't get 1 gimmick over. He can't do anything despite being given every accolade there is except for the WWE title. He's done it all. Otherwise, except for, I guess, Royal Rumble. He won the King of the Ring. He won Money in the Bank. He won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Like, he's done so many things, but it's amounted to nothing because he sucks. So, sometimes it's better to pull the plug. And like I said, I like Corbin. I think he's one of the better guys. Like, he has potential. But he hasn't been able to realize it. Time to go. Why does Baron Corbin continue to get opportunity after opportunity and they don't sign back Big Cass, right? Why don't they do that? And with that being said, that's all I got to say about that, cucks.